On this edition of Fulton Law and Justice, Fulton's Solicitor General addresses the concerns about elder abuse and senior fraud. We'll introduce you to the prosecutor now assigned to this division. Also, Fulton's Superior Court has a new chief judge. Find out what's on tap for the justice partner now at the helm. And later, how man's best friend is changing the lives of inmates at the Fulton County Jail. I'm Douglas Bell. These stories and more when Fulton Law and Justice begins after the break. Stay with us. Welcome to Fulton Law and Justice, your inside look at the work of Fulton's justice partners. I'm Douglas Bell. We begin with the effort underway to help keep Fulton's senior population safe. According to a first-of-its-kind analysis by the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, older Americans were exploited by family, fraudsters, and others in recent years, suffering an average loss of over $34,000. Fulton's Solicitor General is aware of these kinds of crimes and says he has an entire division whose sole mission is to address the issue and prosecute those who are offenders. It's the focus of this edition of Restorative Justice.
Welcome to Restorative Justice. I'm your Solicitor General, Keith Gammage. The Solicitor General's office prosecutes traffic and misdemeanor offenses, everything from impaired driving and domestic violence to abuse of our seniors. The latter is the focus of today's segment. If we're fortunate to keep living and to age, there's no greater honor than serving those who have raised us. My own dear parents are active seniors. They, along with the senior population and those who helped to raise us, hold a special place in our hearts. They deserve to be protected and to live with safety and dignity. However, here is a sobering fact. Approximately 1 in 10 Americans aged 60 and above have experienced some form of elder abuse. Some estimates range as high as 5 million elders who are abused each year. Our office has a senior protection division that safeguards our aging loved ones.
Thanks, Solicitor Gammage. We are now joined by seasoned prosecutor Don Henderson, Deputy Solicitor over the Senior Care Division. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kenya.
Please, Don, tell us about the type of cases that you handle through our Senior Care Division.
Well, generally, we get our cases, they come from the law enforcement agencies here within Fulton County, and they come in as misdemeanors. The important thing about the misdemeanors that come in is that they help us at the first level of some form of abuse or neglect to be able to spot something. And if appropriate and it rises to the felony level, we can transfer it to the district attorney. But we always try to send our investigators out every month to the North Georgia Elder Abuse Task Force so that they can keep up with trends and things that are happening in the area of elder abuse and elder fraud.
So, Deputy Henderson, tell us, what is elder abuse and neglect?
Well, by law, it's defined as a person over the age of 65, and it's the physical, sexual, neglect, exploitation, and basically just not caring for someone that is reached the age where they ought to be expected to receive quality care in their later years.
It always breaks my heart to read the facts of these type of cases. Please tell us, what are some of the warning signs of elder abuse and neglect?
Well, a lot of times the perpetrator will start to isolate the victim, and that keeps them from seeing their friends. They could have physical signs of abuse. They could have bruises. As you're probably aware, as we get older, we bruise easier. So a lot of times they can't cover those up if they're perpetrating something on an elder person. You might have bed sores if there's neglect. You might have a depression. And also, they might have some mood swings that you're not used to seeing in a person just because of the fact they're being isolated. So there's a lot of things that you can look for in a particular situation, and they vary different by the person.
Absolutely, and people are encouraged to, if they see something, to definitely say something and report those warning signs to authorities. But it's a little bit more than just elder abuse and neglect. Isn't there an element of elder fraud that's handled with the senior care division?
Yes, and these are things that they can be all kinds of different scams, or it could be family members. In fact, in elder abuse, 60% of the time, it's a family member. And in 2/3 of the cases, surprisingly, it's an adult child or a spouse. So it's the kind of thing where a senior, a lot of times, has a nest egg accumulated, and they'll want to take care of their loved ones. There can be insurance scams that come along. There can be times when people will prey on their heart, so to speak. In other words,
The grandparent scams.
yes, grandparent scams. Now the big thing is romance scams. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there that the bad guys know about. They actually sometimes exchange lists of people that would be good victims, and they call them mooch lists. So there's lists of people floating around out there that may have even been scammed before or shown a likelihood to be scammed. And they'll target you. They'll tell you your grandkid is in trouble. I need money. I can't get out of this jail. I'm in somewhere, South Mississippi, and it's something that you can't verify quickly. And they make it sound like it's a very urgent situation. So it panics and it brings out the love in the grandparent.
Absolutely, and you mentioned romance scams. Please tell us more about that.
Well, and that's the subject of our monthly meeting. We have one every month, and the big thing now is with social media. A lot of people encourage their seniors to be involved in social media, to have the interaction with people, and you never know who you're dealing with on the other end. And people have been found to be sending tens of thousands of dollars to someone they haven't even met in person, just because they've developed this relationship with them on Facebook or online.
Well, Deputy Henderson, with so many landmines, how can we protect our seniors?
Well, visiting them often, making contact with them, because one of the best things that a scamster or an abuser can do is isolate them. If there's a new friend, so to speak, in their life that suddenly is always there when you go to visit, and you're never alone with the person when you go to see them, or the care provider is always sitting there with you when you're visiting with them, those can be signs that something's going on. So just regular contact and visitation. Also, there's, as far as mailers and solicitations, there's the opt-out provision. That they can opt out of receiving these kind of mailers or solicitations. And that's probably one of the most common forms of scam is if you go to your grandmother's house and she's got 60 different magazines laying on the counter that she has subscribed to because someone scammed her into paying some outrageous fee, that's a warning sign.
So what I'm hearing is that we have to pay attention, and caregivers have to pay attention to what's going on with the seniors to make sure that they're not falling victim to fraud or abuse. So thank you so much for your work and for joining us today to help us protect seniors and keep them safe.
Thank you very much, Kenya.
Now, back to Solicitor Gammage.
Thanks, Kenya and Don, for your life-saving work. For more information about the Fulton Solicitor General's Office, you can reach us at 404-612-4800 in our main office, or of course online at fultonrestorativejustice.org. We also invite you to join us on our website and social media. And please be sure to sign up to receive the Gammage Report, our quarterly newsletter. Please remember, aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. For Restorative Justice, I'm Keith Gammage. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Solicitor. And when we come back, the new Chief Judge of the Fulton County Superior Court. Stay with us. The Superior Court of Fulton County and the Atlanta Judicial Circuit has a new Chief Judge. The Honorable Chris S. Brasher was named to the position by his colleagues, replacing the Honorable Robert McBurney after 2 years of service. The new Chief Judge joins us. Your Honor, welcome to Fulton Law and Justice.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What does it mean to you to be named the Chief Judge of Fulton County and the Atlanta Judicial Circuit?
Well, I'm very gratified by the confidence that my colleagues have placed in me to elect me Chief Judge. I've raised my family here. My wife and I, who have been married for 30 years, have made our family in Fulton County and raised our kids here. It's important to me to be able to give back to the community in this fashion. I've been on the bench for 14 years now. It's my opportunity to help move our court forward, so I'm looking forward to the opportunities that being chief presents.
For those who aren't familiar, talk about the responsibilities of a Chief Judge.
The Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Fulton County is the Chief Judicial Officer in the county. In addition to that, we're also the Chief Administrative Judge for the district that encompasses Fulton County. As the Chief Judge of the Superior Court, I'll be responsible for coordinating all the administrative functions of the court, coordinating with the county regarding finances, regarding space, other issues that we have. And also on a state level, I'll be responsible for representing our court and the citizens of Fulton County on the Judicial Council and on the Council of Superior Court Judges.
Talk about the plans you hope to initiate in your new position.
My hope is to continue with the great legacy of moving our court forward, programs such as enhancing our employees' ability to earn a decent wage, to allow our court to make great strides in technology, and to continue to be a leader in piloting programs that can help all over the state.
And Judge, what can people expect when they come into your courtroom?
One of the things that I've always approached, one of the ways in which I've always approached the courtroom is to remind myself before I go in that the courtroom is not mine. The courtroom doesn't belong to the judges, it doesn't belong to the lawyers, it belongs to the people. I'm entrusted with the job of providing a fair forum in which disputes are heard. So what I hope people will find is that they'll find a judge who is interested in being fair, listening to what both sides have to say, following the law, and making a decision based on that.
Any final thoughts?
I'd like to reiterate my gratitude to my colleagues for the trust they've placed in me. I also pledge to the community that I'll continue to serve as I have for the last 14 years with diligence and with professionalism and collegiality. Thank you again.
Judge Brasher, great information and congratulations again on being named the Chief Judge for the Superior Court of Fulton County and the Atlanta Judicial Circuit.
Thank you again for having me.
And when we come back, news from the Sheriff's Office, including new recruits, a new twist on an old scam, and man's new best friends. Stay with us. Representatives from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office are warning residents of the return of an old phone scam that's now using a new twist. Lieutenant Colonel Adam Lee joins us now with important information and tips to stay safe. Sir, thank you for joining us on Fulton Law and Justice.
Thanks for having me on today.
Briefly explain the details of this phone scam.
Basically, the way it works is you get a call from someone claiming to be from some government agency. In this particular incident, it was someone calling, pretending to be Fulton County Sheriff's Office. And they also indicated that their name was my name, which is Adam Lee. This person told the caller or the potential victim that they owed money or they threatened them with an arrest if they didn't pay a certain amount of money. I believe there was one case where they said they missed court. It was court, or they missed an opportunity to serve on a jury. And so by ignoring that, they would be charged with something like contempt of court. And if they did not pay a certain amount of money, then a warrant would be issued for their arrest.
I understand the scammers have made their setup sound very realistic.
Yes, on 2 occasions the victims called me. They took the time to call me to authenticate whether or not it was actually me that called, and I explained to them that it was not. When we returned the call here from my office, there was a voicemail on the phone, and it sounded very authentic, very familiar. It was like the voice that you would hear when you call someone on their cell phone, and there's a female voice that is very familiar to most people, or the voice of Siri on the Apple applications. So it sounded very professional, and it said if you need to speak to, in this particular incident, it said Lieutenant Lee, press 1. And at the time, I didn't take it any further. I actually turned over the investigation to our law enforcement unit.
How can people be sure the phone call they receive is truly a scam?
Law enforcement agencies don't generally call people to threaten them with arrest in exchange for any amount of money. Usually that is done through the mail or in person. They'll actually show up to your house, or you will get something in the mail. If this person indicates that something was sent to you in the mail, ask or tell them that you didn't receive anything, or you don't remember receiving anything. What address did you send it to? And if they can't immediately respond and give you the address that is your address, then that's a good indication that it's going to be a scam.
Any final thoughts?
Just that people who feel that they may be a victim of a scam should take the time to research it. Like I said, call the number of the official agency that these people are pretending to be. Look it up online. You can look up online and see what the actual addresses are to these places. If they should happen to give you an address that is not going to be the official address to the organization, that's a big clue or a big red flag that these people are scamming you. And always be suspicious of any calls, because normally organizations operate through the mail or in person. They don't call you and threaten you with arrests for cash.
Lieutenant Colonel Adam Lee, great information. Thank you for sharing this with our viewers, and thank you again for joining us on Law and Justice.
Glad to help anytime I can.
If you receive one of the scam calls the Lieutenant Colonel described, you're asked to call the Fulton County Sheriff's Office at 404-612-5100. The staff at the Fulton County Jail is now a little larger. The applause was well deserved for these former cadets, now detention officers, who have completed the first basic jail certification class of the year.
This class graduation, we had 10 detention officers, but we had other deputy sheriffs in the class that are now jail certified, which means now they can work in the jail with less supervision, and it really helps us with staffing.
Basic jail certification training is a 2-week, 80-hour program. In that time, cadets are taught self-defense tactics as well as emergency procedures, inmate rights, and inmate discipline. They also learn medical activities like first aid, CPR, cell block searches, and inmate supervision. Sheriff's Office representatives say that kind of training is necessary to keep staff and inmates safe.
The last few weeks, it was pretty much just basic jail cert. We learned defensive tactics, we learned policy, all the whole nine, like pretty much how you should act as an officer. It's pretty much protocol.
Despite the arrival of these detention officers, the Sheriff's Office is still looking to add more. You can apply by logging on to fultonsheriff.org. One popular jail program is changing the lives of man and his new best friend.
Yeah, girl. Well, when you're done, you ring the bell. Bell? Ring the bell.
These inmates at the Fulton County Jail are now graduates of the 26th cycle of the Canine Cellmates program. For 7 years, the initiative has positively impacted the lives of the nonviolent offenders and the rescue dogs from the Fulton County Animal Shelter.
This program is more centered on the men than it is on the dogs. This program is a rehabilitative program designed to present new ideas and new concepts to these men while they're with us that optimally will allow them to make some different kinds of choices when they leave. And at the same time, we get to save a lot of dogs. Isn't that a wonderful thing?
Canine Cellmates is a 10-week course that provides inmates the opportunity to train and care for a living being and helps them become more productive members of society.
It helped me by shaping my positive reinforcement behaviors. It helped me by capturing them and knowing what was stagnating in me in so many ways and how to just reshape them.
The rescue dogs who were once abused and neglected now have a better chance to be adopted into a forever home as a result of being trained.
It's made a big difference, and you can tell from the responses from the participants how this has had impact on their lives, and this is what we're trying to do, is help them change behavior, turn their lives around so they can be productive citizens, and this program has proven that it really works.
I think the program is fabulous. It combines the rehabilitation and second chances and coaching that are so important to help individuals who leave the jail lead successful lives.
One added bonus of Canine Cellmates, according to program organizers, is that repeated habitual crime rates have declined in prison and jail facilities where jail dog programs operate, sometimes as much as 50%. Fulton County has committed itself to serving its residents in 6 priority areas. The strategic goal for Fulton's Justice Partners is making sure that all people are safe. On Fulton Law and Justice, we show you how Fulton's law enforcement and justice partners are doing that every day in how they serve and in the programs they provide to enhance the lives of all people, young and old. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Fulton Law and Justice. I'm Douglas Bell. We'll see you next time.